I thought he was planning our future. Turns out he was planning a life with someone else. Part 1. The Missing Ring. It started on a Thursday, the kind of ordinary day that should have faded into the blur of routine. But instead, it marked the beginning of the most painful chapter of my life. The day my engagement ring went missing. For weeks, Alex and I had been talking about our future. In vague terms, yes, but with warmth. He'd mentioned houses in the suburbs, golden retrievers, a small wedding on the beach. We had even started visiting jewelers, browsing rings just for fun, though the sparkle in his eyes told me it was more than window shopping. We weren't perfect, but I believed we were solid. We laughed, we fought, we made up. The ordinary messiness of love. So when I found the velvet box in his sock drawer a month ago, I didn't open it. I smiled, closed it gently, and floated on the giddy cloud of, he's going to propose. But that Thursday morning, while tidying the bedroom, I noticed the drawer slightly open. The box gone. I froze. I wasn't supposed to know about it, of course. He never told me he had it. But its absence hit me like a gut punch. My mind scrambled for explanations. Maybe he was getting it resized. Maybe he planned to propose tonight? I clung to hope like a life raft. When he came home that evening, I tried to act normal. I didn't ask about the ring. I didn't want to ruin whatever surprise he was planning. But something was off. He was quieter, his usual easy affection replaced by a subtle distance. I noticed he turned his phone away from me when texting, and twice he stepped outside to take calls, murmuring in hushed tones. Red flags, bright, waving. Still, I didn't ask. I didn't want to seem paranoid or suspicious. I chalked it up to nerves. Maybe he was planning a big proposal and freaking out. Maybe he was just overwhelmed. But over the next few days, things unraveled. His mood soured. He cancelled a dinner date at the last minute, claiming he had to help a friend move. The next night, he didn't come home until 2 a.m. I sat on the couch waiting, heart racing with anxiety, while the apartment grew colder by the minute. When he finally walked in, he smelled faintly of perfume, not mine, and offered some half-hearted excuse about running into a coworker for drinks. I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand the truth, but I couldn't. I was still holding on to the dream of him dropping to one knee, slipping that ring on my finger, and proving all my fears wrong. Then came the twist. I was scrolling through Instagram late one night, mindlessly tapping through stories, when I landed on something that made my blood run cold. A woman, someone I didn't recognize, was in a bridal shop, laughing as her friends fussed around her. She was holding up a ring, my ring. I knew it was mine because I'd tried it on at the jeweler. It had a tiny heart-shaped detail carved beneath the setting, something I'd told Alex I loved. A hidden symbol just for me. I stared at the screen in disbelief, my fingers trembling. I clicked on her profile. Public. Of course. Her name was Natalie. Blonde, beautiful, all sunshine and sparkle. My stomach twisted into knots as I scrolled further. And there he was, Alex, smiling, holding her hand, my fiancé, with someone else, engaged. They were getting married, and he'd given her my ring. Part 2, Confrontation. I didn't sleep that night. The image of Natalie, her, twirling around with my ring on her finger, played on repeat in my head like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every logical part of me wanted to find a rational explanation, some chance that I was wrong, that maybe it was a similar ring, that maybe this was all some colossal misunderstanding. But in my gut, I already knew. The heart-carved detail beneath the setting was too specific. That ring wasn't just similar, it was mine, and Alex had given it to her. I sat in the dark for hours, scrolling. Natalie had no idea she was helping me piece together my own heartbreak, one cheerful post at a time. Dinner dates, weekends away, a birthday party with Alex grinning beside her like the perfect boyfriend. A timeline emerged. Their anniversary was 7 months ago, but he'd been with me for nearly 3 years, so he hadn't just cheated, he'd led a double life. When Alex came home the next morning, I was still in the living room, still wearing the same clothes from last night. I must have looked like hell. Eyes puffy, mascara smudged, jaw tight with exhaustion and fury. He walked in, set his keys down, and looked at me like I was a stranger in his house. "You're up early," he said, voice light. "Everything okay?" I stood up slowly. My legs felt stiff like I'd aged 10 years overnight. I met his eyes and said, "Where's the ring, Alex?" His smile flickered. "What ring?" "The one that used to be in your sock drawer." The one with the heart detail under the setting. He froze, just for a second. But it was enough. The mask slipped. I don't know what you're talking about. I stepped forward, trembling. The one you gave to Natalie. He blinked. His lips parted, but no sound came. I watched him try to lie, to find words, to pull another excuse out of the air, but there was nothing left. I had seen the evidence. I had seen her. You were going to propose to me, I whispered. You bought that ring with me in mind, and then you gave it to her. Who is she, Alex? How long has it been? He ran a hand through his hair, sighing like he was the one who'd been wronged. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. That's what you open with, I snapped. Not an apology, not even a hint of remorse. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. You lied to me for months, years. While you were smiling in my face, you were building a whole other life with someone else. She makes me feel different, he said quietly. She doesn't nag me. She lets me be who I am. The slap came before I could stop myself. My hand connected with his cheek, a sting of pain exploding in my palm. He stared at me, wide-eyed. I gave you everything, I choked. I believed in us. I waited for you, trusted you, planned a future with you, and you were, what? Just stringing me along until she said yes? He looked down, shame creeping into his face. But it was too late. Too much damage had been done. I want you out, I said. Today. Wait, can't we at least talk? There's nothing left to talk about. Get your things and go, and take your lies with you. He left. Not a fight, not a dramatic goodbye, just the sound of a suitcase dragging across the floor, the door closing behind him, and the echo of a life collapsing. I stood there for a long time after he was gone. The silence felt like a scream. My hands were shaking, my face numb. I sat down, stared at the wall, and finally let the sobs come. Deep, primal, body-racking sobs that felt like they'd been waiting for this moment for years. Everything was gone, not just the man I loved, but the version of myself who believed she was loved back. But I wasn't done. Not yet. He might have moved on like nothing happened. He might have fooled her too, but I wasn't going to stay silent. He owed me answers, and she deserved to know the truth. Part 3. The Other Woman. 3 days passed. I hadn't eaten more than a slice of toast. Every time I tried, the lump in my throat made it impossible. The apartment was hollow without Alex, but not in the way I expected. His absence didn't bring sadness. It brought clarity. Every time I walked into a room, I saw him. Not the man I loved, but the man who'd sat there, smiling while lying to my face, the man who kissed me goodbye only to head off to her. I imagined them together in cafes, holding hands under tables, sharing inside jokes while I was home, waiting, making plans he never intended to keep. And the more I thought about it, the more one thought haunted me. Did she know about me? Was Natalie just as much a victim as I was? Or had she looked through my photos, known I existed and said nothing? That question gnawed at me. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged her. I sat with my phone in hand for almost an hour, writing and deleting a dozen versions of the message. Finally, I landed on something short, direct, and impossible to ignore. Hi, Natalie. I don't know if you know who I am, but I think we need to talk. It's about Alex. I sent it and waited. Minutes dragged like hours. My heart thudded with anxiety. I kept refreshing the chat, watching the little checkmark turn blue. Seen. And then, typing. Hi, I know who you are. I was waiting for this. My breath caught. She knew me. That meant, can we meet? I wrote. Yes, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Belmont Cafe. I'll be there. The next day, I arrived early. I sat in a back booth, heart pounding, hands trembling around a lukewarm coffee, and then she walked in. She was exactly like her photos, elegant, composed, with a presence that made people look twice. She saw me, paused, and then made her way over with quiet confidence. Emma, she said softly, sliding into the seat across from me. Natalie. A long silence followed. Neither of us quite knew where to start. Then she spoke. I didn't know about you, not at first. Her voice was calm, almost fragile. She wasn't defensive. She looked tired. The kind of tired you feel when your entire world shifts under your feet. I met Alex at a conference last year. He told me he was single, said he'd just come out of something serious. We started slow, then it got serious. After a few months, he started staying over more, keeping clothes at my place. I swallowed hard. I was with him during that time, I said. We were living together. He told me he was working late, going on trips. I thought he was just tired, stressed. Turns out he was splitting his life. She nodded slowly. I found a message once, a text from you. He said you were his ex, that you were crazy, that you wouldn't stop calling. I let out a bitter laugh. That's his move. Flip the blame, make himself the victim. Tears welled in her eyes. She looked down. I'm so sorry, Emma. I didn't know, and once I did, I didn't know how to leave. I loved him, or I thought I did. I stared at her, unsure of what to feel. This was the woman I'd hated in silence for days. The woman with my ring. But now that she was sitting here, I didn't see a villain. I saw another version of me. Lied to, manipulated, discarded. He gave you the ring, I said. The one he bought for me. She pulled it off her finger slowly and placed it on the table between us. I found the receipt. It was dated long before we met. That's when I knew, really knew. I picked it up, turned it over, and there it was. The heart-carved detail I had chosen with him in that tiny antique shop 2 years ago. He never loved us, I said, voice hollow. He loved the attention, the power. We sat in silence, two strangers tied together by a man who didn't deserve either of us. What now? She asked. I don't know, I replied, but I'm not letting him get away with this. Not quietly. A fire had started inside me, not just anger, resolve. He shattered 2 lives. He turned love into a weapon, and he thought he could walk away untouched. He was wrong. Part 4. Scorched earth. The day after meeting Natalie, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence of my apartment and the louder silence inside my heart. Rage doesn't burn fast, it smolders. And that night it ignited something fierce inside me. I wasn't going to cry about Alex anymore. He didn't deserve tears. He deserved exposure. I started by collecting everything I had. Screenshots of our texts, pictures of us from the last year, receipts, old voicemails, his dumb poems that once made me melt but now read like punchlines from a con artist. I put it all in a folder titled The Truth. Then I texted Natalie. Still with me? Yes, just say when. We met again that afternoon. She brought a flash drive. She'd done the same. Screenshots, calendar logs, flight confirmations. He'd been playing both of us so recklessly it was almost insulting. Some weekends he told me he was visiting his mum. He told her he was going to a friend's cabin. The truth? He was often in the same city with one of us while texting the other about missing them. It was like uncovering the secrets of a sociopath. What are we doing with this? Natalie asked. I took a breath. We make him look in the mirror, publicly. I posted the story online, not just on my private profile. I made a new account and uploaded everything. A detailed timeline, how Alex had maintained 2 relationships, proposed to both women using the same ring, and lied so intricately that it took months to even spot the cracks. I removed names, but I tagged him. And then I sent the link to his closest friends, his co-workers, and his sister. I didn't add a comment, just the link. The response was instant. Comments exploded. People were stunned, disgusted, intrigued. His friends started messaging me. One of them, Marcus, said, "This isn't the first time. He did something like this in college, but it never got out." Then came the texts from Alex. "What the hell are you doing?" "Emma, take it down. This is insane. You're ruining my life over a breakup." I didn't respond. I let the story speak for itself. A day later, he showed up at my apartment. I saw his silhouette through the peephole, slouched shoulders, hoodie pulled up, as if anonymity would protect him from shame. I opened the door but didn't move aside. "You shouldn't be here." "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. "Please." I let him in. I wanted to see if he'd try to lie again, to gaslight, to twist things in that charming way he always had. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he began. "I messed up. I got caught in something I didn't know how to stop." "You didn't know how to stop lying?" I snapped. He sat on the edge of the couch like a punished child. I loved you. But Natalie, she was different, and I never planned for it to go this far. You proposed to her with the ring you bought for me, Alex. That's not an accident. That's evil." He covered his face. "I was going to fix it. I was going to end things with her. I didn't know when." "And what about all the others?" I asked coldly. He looked up, startled. "What others? You think Natalie and I are the only ones who've started comparing notes?" He was quiet. I continued, "You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught." He stood. "I'm not the monster you're making me out to be." "You're worse," I said, voice trembling. "You built a life on lies and dragged people into your fantasy world, and now it's falling apart, and you want sympathy?" "I just want to make things right," he said, voice suddenly hopeful. "You can't," I pointed to the door, "and you won't do it here." He stood frozen for a moment. Then, seeing I wasn't budging, he walked out. I closed the door and locked it. My hands shook, not because I was afraid of him, but because standing up to someone who once had complete control over your heart takes a different kind of strength. Later that week, Natalie and I met again. She brought wine and we sat on my couch, two strangers stitched together by betrayal, slowly finding solace in each other's pain. "Do you think he'll ever really get it?" she asked. "No," I said. "But that's not our problem anymore." We toasted, not to him, but to healing. Part 5. The woman from his past. A week passed. The storm Alex created was still spinning online, chewing through everything in its path. I watched the fallout unfold like a distant observer. People who once worshipped him were now calling him a fraud. His Instagram had gone silent. His LinkedIn disappeared. Natalie told me he'd lost a few contracts at work, and someone anonymous posted that Alex's boss had asked him to take an indefinite leave. I wasn't rejoicing. I wasn't gloating. I was still aching. Because beneath all the chaos was the quiet fact that I had loved him, deeply. I wasn't sure what to do with that part of myself, the version of me who trusted his hands, his eyes, his words. She didn't deserve to be mocked or erased. She had simply believed. She had chosen wrong. Then came the message that changed everything. It arrived in my inbox late on a Thursday night. Subject, "You don't know me, but I know him. Hi Emma, I just read your story. I don't know if this is strange, but I had to reach out. My name is Isabel. I dated Alex 3 years ago. I recognize your pain because I lived it. Everything you wrote, I saw it too. The charm, the lies, the double life. But I thought I was crazy. He made me feel like I imagined everything. When I confronted him, he gaslit me until I left, apologizing. I'm reaching out because I think you need to know." There was another girl. Her name was Lily. I think she was engaged to him while he was with me. I'm so sorry. Please write back if you want to talk. I sat there, frozen, staring at the screen. My skin prickled like I'd touched ice. How deep did this go? Natalie and I had thought we were two branches on the same twisted tree, but now it looked like the roots stretched much further. Isabel, Lily, others. I forwarded the email to Natalie. "You seeing this?" A moment later, she replied, "WTF. This guy is a full-blown predator." We arranged a call with Isabel that Saturday. She sounded nervous at first, but her voice steadied as she recounted everything. She met Alex when they were both working at a corporate retreat. He charmed her instantly, said he wasn't seeing anyone, said she was different. Within weeks, she was sleeping at his place. "And then," Isabel said, "I found a lipstick in his car. It wasn't mine. He told me it belonged to his sister. I believed him." I swallowed. She continued. "Eventually, I found pictures of Lily on his laptop. Vacation shots, cuddling, kissing. I asked him and he laughed. Laughed, Emma, like I was insecure. He said she was a friend going through a divorce." "He always had a way of making you feel guilty for even asking," I murmured. "Yes, exactly that." Isabel said she left after 6 months. "But I never got closure. I felt stupid. I buried it. I never even talked to Lily because he told me she moved overseas." Natalie spoke up. "We need to find her." And so we did. Natalie, with her terrifying skill for digging through social media, found Lily's profile. She hadn't posted in a year, but her photos were still there. One with Alex at a cabin, dated the year Isabel had been with him. It was surreal, looking at her smile next to him. That same crooked grin, his arm wrapped tightly around her shoulders. I messaged her. To my surprise, she replied within the hour. "I've waited years for someone to believe me." We set up a video call with all 4 of us, me, Natalie, Isabel, and Lily. That call felt like therapy and tragedy in equal measure. Lily told us that Alex had proposed to her too. Not with a ring like mine or Natalie's, but with a bracelet, something antique and expensive looking. He promised her forever. Then he ghosted her for 2 months, claiming a family emergency. "I later found out he was traveling in Spain with another girl," Lily said. There was silence. 4 women, each looking at the same man from a different angle, finally fitting the puzzle together. Alex wasn't just unfaithful, he was a serial manipulator. He built lives around lies and stitched together worlds that never should have coexisted. He didn't just break hearts, he hollowed them out. I stared at the screen and asked, "How many do you think there are?" No one answered, because we all knew the truth. It was more than us. We were just the ones who found each other. By the end of that call, we made a decision to tell the full story, together, a new page, a new post, this time with names, dates, evidence, 4 women, 1 man, 1 lie after another. We would expose him not out of revenge, but for every woman who never got the chance. Part 6, 4 women, 1 voice. It took us 2 full days to build the post. Natalie made a private shared folder. Each of us uploaded screenshots, voice notes, photos, and receipts. Isabel had old texts where Alex called her his one and only, timestamped the same week he took Lily to Paris. Lily had an email he wrote her about how he was rebuilding his trust after a toxic ex, most likely me or Isabel, depending on the timing. And I had the video from our engagement weekend, the one where he kissed me like I was the only woman he'd ever love. That video alone made me sick to my stomach now. But we weren't doing this for sympathy anymore. We were doing this for truth. Natalie wrote the draft. She was the most measured with her words, cool, smart, unflinching. We called it 4 Women, 1 Liar, Our Story. It began like this, asterisk. We are 4 women who never met until this week. We came from different cities, different lives, but we all shared one thing. We loved the same man, and we were all lied to by him, manipulated, played. This is not a hate post. This is a truth post. What followed was a timeline, painstakingly built, his overlapping trips, his copy-pasted messages, photos of him holding each of our hands at different airports, claiming it was our first adventure together. Natalie even found a photo of a ring, the same ring, on 2 different fingers, just months apart. We blurred our faces, but we told our stories in full. And at the end we wrote, asterisk. We are not angry women seeking vengeance. We are survivors of deception. If you know Alex H., ask yourself what he's told you. Ask yourself what he's hiding. We sat on the Zoom call in silence before hitting post. I could see Isabel chewing her lip. Lily was hugging a throw pillow to her chest. Natalie's fingers hovered over the trackpad. "Are we ready?" she asked. No one said yes, but no one said no either. She clicked. It was live. We didn't expect it to blow up that fast. In the first hour, it hit 2,000 shares. The comments poured in, dozens, then hundreds. "Wait, he dated my cousin. Same exact story. OMG, I thought I was the only one. This guy ghosted my best friend in 2022 after a trip to Bali. Check this out. Same dude, different city? I have receipts." People were tagging one another. Stories surfaced in waves. A 5th woman reached out within hours, then a 6th. By day's end, we had a spreadsheet with 12 names, 12 women, 12 versions of the same heartbreak. That night, Alex finally responded, not to us, to the world. He posted a Notes app apology on Instagram, classic damage control. It began with, "To anyone I've hurt," and ended with, "I'm taking time to reflect and work on myself." He blamed trauma, poor coping mechanisms, and pressure from a high-performance lifestyle. Not once did he name us. Not once did he admit it was intentional. Natalie texted us all, "This is such BS, he's still spinning." But the comments weren't buying it either. "So, you're sorry now that you got caught?" Say their names. 12 women and counting, and this is your apology. Where was the self-reflection when you were proposing to 3 people in 1 year? Within 24 hours, his brand partnerships dropped him. The consulting firm he worked for removed his profile from their site. Someone dug up old tweets, problematic, misogynistic jokes from years ago, and those went viral too. Every thread led to another. By the end of the weekend, he deleted his Instagram, then his TikTok, then everything, gone, like a shadow pulling itself off the wall. But I didn't feel triumphant, I didn't feel whole, I felt hollow. Natalie called me Sunday night. Her voice was softer. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I admitted, "but I'm better." "Same." Silence stretched between us, then she said, "I still miss him sometimes. Isn't that awful?" "No," I said. "It's human." Because here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't make the love unreal. It just makes it unfinished. And that's the worst part. The part that keeps you up, that gnaws at your ribs, the part you have to carry even after justice comes knocking. Part 7. picking up the pieces. The days after our post went viral, the world felt heavier, like I was carrying a weight I didn't ask for but couldn't put down. The flood of messages, the interviews, the sympathy from strangers, it all mixed into a chaotic storm inside me. But amid the noise, the hardest part was quiet, facing myself. I kept replaying memories of Alex, like a broken record, skipping over the good parts, then grinding to a stop on the bad. The nights we stayed up talking until dawn, the way he smiled when he thought I wasn't looking, the plans we made to move in together, all of it felt like shards of glass cutting into my heart. But the real pain wasn't just losing him, it was losing trust. Trust is fragile. You don't notice how much you lean on it until it's ripped away. I had trusted him with my whole self, every hope, every fear, every secret, and he had shattered it without hesitation. I tried to write again, something honest, but the words wouldn't come. How do you write about love when it's been so brutally betrayed? How do you tell the truth without sounding bitter or broken? Isabel sent me a message. We need to meet, face to face. We all agreed to meet that week, the four of us. I was nervous, scared to look them in the eyes, scared to see my own reflection in their stories. But I knew it was necessary. When we gathered in that small coffee shop, the air felt thick with unspoken grief. But there was also something else, a fragile hope, a shared strength. We talked for hours, about heartbreak, about healing, about how this wasn't just about one man. It was about the pattern of lies and manipulation that so many women endure. Natalie shared how therapy was helping her unravel years of self-doubt. Isabel admitted she was afraid to date again, terrified the same thing would happen. Lily talked about her family, how they didn't believe her at first, how she'd felt isolated even before we connected. I confessed my own shame, how I'd blamed myself for missing the signs. We cried, we laughed, we held each other up. That night, I realized something important. Healing isn't a straight line. It's messy, unpredictable, and often slow. But you don't have to do it alone. Over the next few weeks, I started therapy. It was brutal, peeling back layers of trust and self-worth I didn't realize were so fragile. But each session was a step forward. I also began to set boundaries with social media. The viral post brought attention, but it also brought trolls and judgment. I learned to protect my peace. One day, my phone buzzed with a message from Alex. It was brief. "I'm sorry, I'm working on myself." I didn't respond. Not yet, because forgiveness isn't about excusing betrayal. It's about freeing yourself. I'm still learning what that means for me. There are days I still ache. Days when memories flood in and I wonder what could have been different. But I'm also discovering who I am without him. Stronger, wiser, more aware, and most importantly, more myself. Our story doesn't end with a broken ring or shattered promises. It's about the fight to reclaim our hearts and rewrite our futures. Because sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most powerful victories. Part 8. The Final Truth and New Beginnings. Weeks passed since we met, since therapy began, since the world found out about Alex's lies. Yet the weight of what happened didn't magically lift. Healing wasn't a moment, it was a process, and sometimes it felt painfully slow. But then came the day I never thought would come, the day I confronted him face to face. I got the message unexpectedly, a simple request from Alex asking to meet to talk things through. My first instinct was to say no, to shut the door forever, but a small part of me wanted answers, closure, to see the man who once meant everything to me and understand how he could live with the truth of what he did. I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe, the same one where the four of us had gathered weeks ago. My hands trembled as I sat across from him, his eyes tired but steady. For the first time, he looked like a man who had lost something he could never get back. "I'm sorry," he said. No excuses, no blaming, just raw regret. I listened, letting the words wash over me, but I didn't soften. Not yet. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you do it? Why lie to all of us?" He swallowed hard. I was scared of being alone, of facing myself. I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. His confession wasn't a balm. It was a mirror reflecting my pain back at me. I took a deep breath. "I trusted you with everything. You broke me, and yet here you are, asking for forgiveness." He nodded. "I don't deserve it. I just want to make things right. But some things can never be made right. Some wounds run too deep." I stood up, feeling lighter but also sadder than ever. I hope you find peace, but it won't be with me." Walking away, I felt the years of lies unraveling piece by piece. That night, I sat with the four of us on a group call, sharing what happened. We had become more than victims. We were survivors, friends bound by truth. And even though our hearts carried scars, we were ready to face whatever came next. For me, this story ends not with a ring on my finger, but with a hand held out. To myself, to new beginnings, and to the future I will build on my own terms. Because sometimes losing everything is how you find what truly matters.